The government, quite rightly under new pressure to clear the names of hundreds of sub-postmasters wrongly convicted in the Post Office Horizon scandal. Let's just reiterate what we've been saying all morning. Many have had their lives ruined. Fact.
So the repercussions, finally, maybe. The Post Office is now being investigated by police over potential fraud offences arising from its prosecution of its own staff. Faulty software, as we know, was to blame. But who else? Well, the scandal is now the subject of a new TV drama. Joining us now is the man who's played a pivotal role in helping the sub-postmasters affected seek justice. It's Lord James McLaughlin. Thank you so much for speaking to us. You may feel relieved that there is new scrutiny, the Justice Secretary is looking at it, but a bit of frustration that it took an ITV drama to push this right to the top of the political agenda.
I don't mind what it was that pushed it to the top of the political agenda, so long as it got there. The frustration was trying to interest the media, trying to get the courts to look at it properly, trying to get politicians to take an interest over the years. But drama has its role to play, and I'm delighted it has finally hit the public's attention.
Lord Arbuthnot, welcome to Talk Today. Really appreciate it. And
Thank you.
I would describe it, many have this morning, as one of, if not the biggest miscarriage of justice in our history. I think it's disgusting. Two things I want to touch upon. 700 postmasters, only 93 have been exonerated. Politically, they're saying Sunak could do this. We'll see how that plays out. I want to raise two questions with you. One, and I find this even more scandalous, they arbitrate the settlement. It's a bit like the Met Police marking its own homework. So if you've been derailed in your life, completely shunned and prosecuted by the Post Office, they, as a body, are still the body that's working out how much money you get. That I'd like your opinion on. Plus, that damn woman, I would suspect, Paula Vennells, judging by my poll this morning. Rosie, what did we get? 31,000 voted, and 97% say she should be stripped of a CBE. I would suggest she should be criminally investigated, Lord Arbuthnot. What do you say?
Well, let's deal with the first one. First. Of between 700 and 900 sub-postmasters were convicted, and it's astonishing that we don't know exactly how many. For only 93 to have had their convictions overturned seems to me to be quite wrong. It's a mass problem, and we only can deal with it, so far as I can see, through a mass solution. And that, I think, will require a short bill going through Parliament. So that's what the Horizon Compensation Advisory Board, which I sit on, is asking for. And I hope that that's what Alex Chalk and Kevin Hollinrake and Rishi Sunak will be able to produce. Next, Paula Vennells and her CBE. Yes, I've seen that there are now over 1 million people calling for her to be stripped of the CBE. Let's not forget, though, that we need to go through a process of fairness. If we've learned anything from this horrendous saga, it is the need for justice to be done properly. I am a little uneasy about concentrating on one woman when there are so many people who have behaved so very badly. And we won't resolve the problem of calling people to account by focusing just on her. She bears her share of the blame, and she must bear her share of the retribution, but it's not just her.
And where else does the spotlight need to be shone?
Well, we heard from Nick Wallace, who did a fantastic job, saying that the government was there overseeing the Post Office, or in theory overseeing it. There were principal accounting officers who need to be held to account. There were other managers in the Post Office. There was Fujitsu, which was the company that was actually altering the sub-postmasters' accounts without their knowledge and without keeping any record of what they were doing, and while denying that they were doing it. I mean, there are so many people. It may well be that there are government ministers who bear some blame as well.
If I could just jump in, Lord Arbuthnot, for 1 minute and bring in Freddie Gray, Deputy Editor of the Spectator. Freddie, good morning.
Good morning.
I think it's probably one of the biggest miscarriages of justice. Lord Arbuthnot makes a really good point there. Sir Ed Davey, leader of the Liberal Democrats, who spends his entire time calling for everybody to resign, was the Minister for the Post Office for 2 years in the height of this, and said on Times Radio last week, I was misled. He's responsible as well, isn't he?
Misled, or possibly just didn't look at his post.
Yep. Very
I
good,
think
yeah.
that's a large part of this story. Is it was initially quite boring to people,
Yeah.
and so it was ignored, and it was ignored by everyone. But as you say, Ed Davey, who has spent a lot of his
career.
political success has come from calling for other people to resign, now should live by his own standards, arguably.
Yeah, he said he was sort of in charge for a short time. That was 2
Yep,
years. And in that time period, Alan Bates, the man who sort of spearheaded the campaign, who actually wasn't prosecuted because he refused to sign papers to say, look, he said, these accounts just don't make sense, sub-postmaster. Alan Bates repeatedly tried to get in contact with Ed Davey, and Ed Davey said that there's no real merit in meeting. It's going to be very difficult for Ed Davey to try and spin this in a way that doesn't look like he could have, at the very least, done a lot more to help.
Well, much as I like piling into Ed Davey, I think Lord Arbuthnot made a very good point, which is we always want the black sheep, the person we can pin everything on. The problem with this story is so many people failed and so many people were in the wrong.
Rod Little,
and that's
so
why
it's like they're one of those big bureaucracies, and there's middle managers, there's all sorts of people protecting their own. I always wanted to, Freddie, all day, bring it back. We've reached out to Sir Ed Davey, no hope, there's a surprise. For me, there's the human angle. People went to their deathbeds not having been proven to be innocent, knowing that they were. People tried to commit suicide. In the next 10 minutes, Joanna Skinner, I've had her on before, she was sent to prison for 9 months for something she didn't do. You can't pay for that. You can't ever get that back, man.
No, it's absolutely disgraceful. It's appalling, and I'm interested into why are we suddenly so concerned about it. Of course, it's the drama, but why was the drama commissioned at that time? And I think it's something to do with the fact that we've got artificial intelligence now. A lot of us are worrying about what happens if computers that don't really work start doing our jobs, and that's why I think people are very concerned about.
But there's no solution to this, but there is potentially the chance for there to be faster remedial action for those people who are wrongly convicted. We know the Justice Secretary is looking at that today. We were hearing from Steve Reid earlier, the Labour Shadow Cabinet, saying they would support any bill that went through Parliament that said, look, we need to kind of have a mass exoneration of all these people. Politically, it seems to be that's a win-win for everybody.
It's a win-win, and it's something the Tories are quite keen on because it's one scandal that they're not entirely to blame for because it goes back so far that they weren't even in government.
Very interesting. Lord Arbuthnot, just to finish with you, really appreciate you coming on today. It seems like an important point. I mean, it started with an ITV drama, but suddenly people are waking up to how horrendous a scandal this is.
Yes. And I'm delighted that they are waking up to that. All political parties bear their share of the blame. And I think it would be, as with Paula Vennells, I think it would be a mistake to concentrate on any one party. But I'm delighted we are where we are now.
Fantastic. Lord Arbuthnot, thank you.